that. Who built the cages?
Let me ask about your immigration policy, Mr. Vice President. The Obama administration did fail to deliver immigration reform, which had been a key promise during the administration. It also presided over record deportations as well as family detentions at the border before changing course. So why should voters trust you with an immigration overhaul now?
Because we made a mistake. It took too long to get it right. It took too long to get it right. I'll be president of the United States, not vice president of the United States. And the fact is, I've made it very clear. Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship. The idea that they are being sent home by this guy and they want to do that is they're going to a country they've never seen before. I can imagine you're 5 years old, your parents are taking you across the Rio Grande River and it's illegal. And you say, oh no, Mom, leave me here. I'm not going to go with you. They've been here. Many of them are model citizens. Over 20,000 of them are first responders out there taking care of people during this crisis. We owe them. We owe them.
Unfortunately, in that previous clip that I just showed, you had to hear Joe Biden spewing the BS that got us into the situation that we're in right now that leads up to the story that we're going to be covering today. And that is the unfortunate situation that took place with a young 13-year-old soccer player in California and what his coach did to him. So in this video, I'm going to briefly be going through this article. Then I'm going to show you the video clip of what happened, how law enforcement was able to bust this person, and what's going to be done to rectify this situation of another young person who have lost their life due to the hands of an illegal immigrant that was allowed in this country by the Biden administration. And like you heard in that previous clip, that man felt justified and even told the voters. I don't remember hearing that part when it happened back in 2020. Told the voters right then his plans for letting 11 million undocumented people in right then that day. So I know all these books are coming out blaming everybody else, but I'm a firm believer that Joe Biden, when he still has some saneness and his mental faculties were working a little bit better back in 2020, he 1,000% knew what he was doing. And he's the direct reason why we're going through what we're going through. And he needs to pay a price for that. That's not something that happened by mistake and it was just a happenstance thing. That was intentionally done by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrat Party, hoping to create a new slave class of workers and voters, which is why they are so pissed off that these people are getting booted out of the country. Now, in this story, the gentleman's name is, excuse me, let me remove the word gentleman. This individual, this illegal immigrant's name is Mario Edgardo Garcia-Aquino. Coach Victor Oscar Omar Hernandez, official said. California youth soccer coach charged with unaliving missing 13-year-old in U.S. illegally. So let's get to it. The California youth soccer coach charged with unaliving a 13-year-old who was reported missing by his family in the United States illegally, multiple law enforcement sources told Fox News. Now, remember, certain words that I'm going to use like unaliving and things like that, we have to use that to replace the words in the article because YouTube will zing you. So I'm not being a weirdo or an idiot when I'm stating it like that. It's intentional to avoid the video being flagged or getting a strike by YouTube. So I apologize in advance, and I thank you for your patience too. Mario Edgardo Garcia-Aquino, 43, allegedly unalived his player Oscar Omar Hernandez in Lancaster on March 28th, according to Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hodgman. Sources told Fox News on Tuesday night that Garcia-Aquino is an illegal immigrant from El Salvador. There's El Salvador again. Now, right now, we got the courts. We got that Judge Boasberg that is fighting tooth and nail to bring back the Tren de Aragua and MS-13 members that have been sent to El Salvador. This district radical left-wing libtard judge is literally fighting for gangbangers to be allowed back into our country, to be returned. But they're so foolish and arrogant. They're in El Salvador just because some district judge signed something on a pen like he's going to force the president of El Salvador to open up the gates and do what he says do. Get out of here. But that's how arrogant these left-wing extremist, activist, libtard judges are. The 671 district court judges, these Democrats run to the activist judges that they know will do their bidding. Right here it says, on that day, Omar Hernandez went up to Lancaster to see Mr. Garcia-Aquino. 2 days later, he was reported missing. And on April 2nd, 2025, last week, he was found in an Oxnard off-road near Leo Carrillo State Beach, Hodgman said at a press conference. No parent should ever have to endure the unimaginable pain and sorrow of learning their child has been unalive. Hodgman added in a statement, Oscar simply boarded a train, and little did he or his family know that he would never return. And that's the young man right there, 13-year-old. Now let's listen to this video clip of the sheriff and breaking it down of exactly what it is that they're doing. And let me ask you, do you agree with the deporting of these criminals to El Salvador, despite what these judges are saying? Or do you feel like they should receive due process and be allowed to go to court and all that stuff here in America? And regardless of which way you feel, I am interested in getting your feedback. Do you agree with them being thrown out of the country, or should they get some due process? As far as for should they be in this country, especially the criminals and the ones that are doing stuff like this, I don't believe that they should be deported immediately, personally. I believe that they should be forced to deal with pain here in the U.S., then get booted out. And I'm not talking about due process type pain. I'm talking about being locked in a room and let some of the hard-hitting brothers and sisters and family members of these young people with chains, bats, sticks, clubs, whatever, knives, whatever it is they want, have a time period to just go in there and go to town and then do everything you can, but allow them to still have life. And then ship them over to that hellhole over there in El Salvador. That prison, that maximum security prison there, it is no joke. It is one of the hardest prisons in the world, which is why they send them there. It holds 40,000 people. And I'm not sure if you saw it when Christy Nome was there. They got videos on this place. They lock all the bangers up in there together, stripped down where they're in their boxers all day long. There is no going to the yard and all of that stuff. It is no joke, and rightfully so. But let me get into this clip of what they had to say on the report about the situation. If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid and hit that like button, because I'll never ask you for a cash app and I will never ask you for a super chat. But you hitting that like button, it really does help. It helps spread the video around. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. On the Real Politics Podcast, that's what we do. We keep it real about politics. So once you subscribe, all you got to do is hit the notification bell and select all. And that way you'll be notified every time I upload a new video.
Today I am announcing the charge of murder with special circumstances against Mario Edgardo Garcia-Aquino, who's 43 years old. Mr. Garcia-Aquino murdered 13-year-old Oscar Omar Hernandez on March 28, 2025. And when I say that charges have been brought, I want to make it clear that charges themselves are not evidence, that a defendant is presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law. The charges allege that Mario Edgardo Garcia-Aquino, on that date of March 28, 2025, murdered Omar Hernandez in Lancaster. Mr. Garcia-Aquino was his soccer coach. And on that day, Omar Hernandez went up to Lancaster to see Mr. Garcia-Aquino. 2 days later, he was reported missing. And on April 2nd, 2025, last week, his body was found in Oxnard off a road near Leo Carrillo State Beach. We have also announcing the charges, again, separate charges, against Mr. Garcia-Aquino from a February 22nd, 2024 felony of assault with intent to commit a lewd act against a different individual, a 16-year-old young man in Palmdale. Mr. Garcia-Aquino faces at least life without the possibility of parole on the murder charge and 6 years in prison with respect to the felony count of assault with intent to commit a lewd act. These cases are tragic, and the Hernandez family, you have our deepest sympathy for a loss that words cannot even begin to describe. Our role, though, is to bring justice to this family and to hold the person responsible for these brutal, heinous, unspeakable, unthinkable acts, hold them accountable, and prosecute and punish them to the full extent of the law.
Now, it's unfortunate that that family had to go through that, all because the Biden administration decided they wanted to allow other countries to empty out their prisons, insane asylums, their jails, and to dump their worst of the worst on our shores into our country, and then to have our politicians fighting for these criminals. Now, right here is a clip of good old Sleepy Joe when he was asked about this, confronted by a reporter. Listen to the response that he gives.
On the border, why is the border more overwhelmed under your watch, Mr. President?
Because there are 3 countries that are there are fewer immigrants coming from Central America and from Mexico. This is a totally different circumstance. What's on my watch now is Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua. And the ability to send them back to those states is not rational. You could send them back and have them. We're working with Mexico and other countries to see if we can stop the flow. But that's the difference. Thank you.
Now, here's what he said: to send them back is irrational. It's like the individual they keep saying is the father. Oh, that was, and they keep lying, telling people that he was illegally deported to El Salvador. No, the only thing in the court order was he could not be deported to El Salvador because his life was at risk because of his ties and affiliations. But he can be deported out of the country, just not specifically to El Salvador, because they're going to take his life. Why? Because he's an MS-13 leader, and that president went to war against that gang. And they're saying that when he came into this country illegally, his claim was that his life was at risk. That's why he wanted asylum. Yes, at risk. You're a freaking gangbanger. And that president over there in El Salvador was not playing around with him, and they went hunting those gang members. And so guess what? They fled over here. Now we got the Democrats fighting, acting like he's father of the year. Yeah, just gangbangers get married and have children. That doesn't remove the fact that he's a leader of the MS-13 gang. And the media is using this play on words of, he was illegally or incorrectly sent to El Salvador. If you pay attention, that's what they say. He was illegally deported to El Salvador. That is true. But it's not that he was illegally deported. It's to El Salvador because of his gang ties. His life is in risk in that country. And now guess what? He's there. He's there. So if anybody's going to be in an uproar, it's only because literally a district judge, a federal judge, signed that individual could not be deported back to El Salvador. So he was trying to skate out on his past, on his crimes. Well, hey, tough one. He's there. Now, whether that'll change and whether the president of El Salvador will give him up for the U.S. to dump in another country, I don't really believe that that's our problem anymore. I honestly don't believe the Trump administration sees that as their problem anymore. Let me ask you, do you believe that should be America's problem to spend our taxpayer dollars on making sure that this MS-13 gang leader who fled his country out of fear of retribution for the BS that he did to the El Salvadorian people, should we take our tax dollars and focus on propping him up someplace that's more, more his speed, that's more enjoyable? These Democrat left-wing extremist libtards get on my nerves. But I just wanted to bring this story to you. It's unfortunate. Prayers and condolences go out to young Omar Hernandez's family, and sleepless nights and just turmoil to Aquino for the wretched crap that he did. So if you watch this video this far, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. How do you feel about this situation and the way the Biden administration set this up and what the Trump administration is doing? And most importantly, I want you to be safe. And y'all, I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out, y'all.